My sister placed the iPad in front of me at Sunday brunch and said, calm as ice, "We added you to our wedding registry. You're covering the honeymoon to Bali. $18,000. Non-refundable." The room didn't move. Not a breath, not a blink. Just that sentence echoing in my skull. Mom nodded like it was already decided. Dad kept eating his Eggs Benedict. My brother Marcus grinned behind his mimosa. Something inside me slipped. I set my coffee cup down slowly, like I was laying a weapon on the table. "All right," I whispered. "Then don't expect another dollar from me. Ever." I thought that moment was the declaration. They didn't know the real hit was coming when I canceled the venue deposit I'd already paid. I drove to my parents' house that Sunday morning, telling myself it was just brunch, just a quiet meal in the suburbs 25 minutes outside Seattle, with French toast and small talk and the kind of warmth I used to pretend we still had. The sky was overcast when I pulled into their driveway, the kind of gray that makes everything look washed out and tired. I didn't fully believe in the invitation anymore, not after the last 3 months. I should have noticed the tension the moment I walked in, the stillness in the air, the way my mom's smile didn't quite reach her eyes, the way Olivia, my younger sister, sat at the dining table already dressed like she was going somewhere important after this. White blouse, perfect makeup, hair curled just so. But I told myself not to overthink it. I always told myself that. Inside, the house smelled like butter and coffee, and the lavender potpourri my mom kept in every room. It was familiar, almost comforting. I hung my jacket on the same hook I'd used since I was 12 and stepped into the dining room. The table was set perfectly. Cloth napkins, champagne flutes, a fruit platter arranged like artwork. They only did this when they wanted something, or when something bad was coming. My stomach tightened. "Maya, you made it," my mom said, not turning from the stove. Her shoulders were stiff. My dad gave me a quick nod, the kind he used when he was pretending everything was fine. Marcus, my older brother, lounged in his chair, spreading jam on a croissant like he was performing for an audience. Olivia sat beside him, tapping her phone screen, the glow reflecting off her glossy hair. "City girl finally graces us with her presence," Marcus murmured, not looking up. I ignored it. I'd ignored comments like that for years. We sat down. Mom placed the quiche in the center of the table and smiled like everything was normal. But the atmosphere felt thin, fragile, stretched tight enough to snap. Conversation was awkward at first. Work, weather, the usual filler. Mom asked about my latest project at the architecture firm. Dad mumbled something about needing help with the deck staining. Marcus and Olivia whispered to each other. But underneath it all was something else. Waiting. As I cut into my food, I caught my mom watching me, eyes calculating. It reminded me of every time she'd said, "Family sticks together," right after handing me another bill. Student loan payments for Olivia's art degree, credit card debt from Marcus's failed business ventures, the down payment on this house when they were temporarily short, repairs on the cabin they loved but never maintained, medical bills, car payments, emergency after emergency, all quietly transferred from my account. Because as the middle child who actually made it, I was the responsible one. I used to think helping them meant they loved me, that being useful meant being valued. But lately, every sacrifice felt like it evaporated the moment it left my hands. My mom cleared her throat, breaking the silence. "We're so glad you're here today, Maya. Olivia has something exciting to share." Marcus straightened in his seat. Dad set down his fork. Olivia smiled, bright and sharp. My heart dipped, a warning I couldn't ignore. Olivia reached beside her chair and pulled out an iPad. She set it on the table between us like she was presenting evidence. The screen glowed with a wedding website. Photos of her and Chase, her fiancé of 6 months, a trust fund kid who didn't believe in traditional employment, and spent his days surfing and blogging about sustainable living. "We finalized the registry," Olivia said, her voice sweet but pointed, "and we wanted to make sure you knew what you're covering." I blinked at her. "What I'm covering?" Mom jumped in quickly. "Well, you've been so generous with everything else, we thought it made sense to formalize things, so there's no confusion." Olivia swiped the screen. A spreadsheet appeared. Line items, dollar amounts. My name in bold at the top. "Honeymoon to Bali," Olivia read aloud. 3 weeks, private villa, $18,000. Already booked, non-refundable. The words landed flat, casual, like she was reading a grocery list. I stared at the screen, at my name, at the number. "You booked it?" My voice came out thin. "Of course," Olivia said, like I was slow. "Chase found this amazing eco-resort. We need the full amount by next Friday for the deposit." Marcus leaned back, arms folded, grinning. "Seems fair. You're not paying for a wedding, just a honeymoon." "Just a honeymoon," I repeated the words, trying to make them make sense. Dad finally spoke. "Maya, sweetheart, you make good money. You can afford this. Your sister deserves a nice start to her marriage." I looked at him, the man who taught me to ride a bike, who used to call me his steady one. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom reached over and patted my hand. "You've always been so good about helping. This is just one more thing." One more thing. I pulled my hand back slowly. And what if I say no? The room went still. Even the hum of the refrigerator seemed to fade. Olivia's smile tightened. "Why would you say no?" "Because I didn't agree to this," I said quietly. "You booked a trip in my name without asking." "We're asking now," Marcus said, his tone edging into mockery. "What's the problem?" I looked around the table, at my mother's expectant face, my father's careful neutrality, Marcus's smirk, Olivia's entitled confusion. "The problem," I said slowly, "is that you think my money is yours." Mom's expression flickered. "Don't be dramatic. You've helped before." "I've helped with emergencies, with necessities, not with 3-week luxury vacations." Olivia's voice sharpened. "So you're saying I don't deserve a nice honeymoon? After everything?" "After everything?" I almost laughed. "What have you done, Olivia?" "I've been there for this family," she shot back. "I visit, I call, I show up. You're always too busy with your career." "My career pays your bills." The words hung in the air, sharp and undeniable. Mom's face went tight. "Maya, that's uncalled for." "Is it?" I looked at each of them. I paid off Olivia's student loans, $47,000. I've covered Marcus's rent 3 times when his ventures failed. I paid the down payment on this house, the cabin repairs, Dad's medical bills, Mom's car. When exactly is it enough? Dad's voice was quiet. "We thought you wanted to help." "I did," I said, feeling something crack inside. But wanting to help isn't the same as being obligated to fund everything. Olivia's eyes welled up, calculated tears. I'd seen them before. "I can't believe you're doing this, on what should be the happiest time of my life." "You're the one who made it about money," I said. "Because that's all you care about." Olivia's voice rose. "You're so obsessed with keeping score. It's pathetic." Marcus laughed. "Seriously? Nobody forced you to pay for anything. Don't play victim now." Nobody forced me. The words hit harder than they should have. Years of sacrifice, every payment framed as duty, love, family, evaporated into a shrug. Something inside me steadied, like a knot pulling tight, I smiled. Not bitterly, not angrily, just done. All right, I said softly. Then don't expect another dollar from me. Ever. The table stilled. Even the air felt different. I reached for my napkin, folded it neatly, set my fork and knife down, slow and deliberate. Then I stood. Maya, Mom started, I'm not your bank, and I'm not your backup plan. You want Olivia to have an $18,000 honeymoon? Figure it out yourselves. I grabbed my jacket from the hallway. Behind me, voices erupted. Mom calling my name, Olivia yelling about ruining her wedding, Marcus telling me to grow up. I walked out, got in my car, started the engine, and as I drove away, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Light. The drive back to downtown Seattle felt longer than usual, like the highway had stretched overnight. Rain started halfway, blurring the windshield, but I barely saw it. Olivia's voice kept replaying in my head. We added you to the registry. Not asked. Added. By the time I reached my apartment building, a tight ache had settled under my ribs. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The familiar hum of the heater, the faint scent of the coffee I'd made that morning. Everything felt wrong, like my home no longer fit the person who had walked out of that brunch. I sat on the couch and stared at my phone, lying face down on the cushion. It vibrated. Once, then again, then nonstop. I flipped it over. 12 missed calls, 7 voicemails, 4 texts from my mother, 2 from Olivia, 3 from Marcus. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I opened my banking app. The screen filled with recurring payments, lines and lines of responsibilities that no one ever acknowledged, but everyone expected. I started scrolling. Found what I was looking for. 3 weeks ago, I'd paid the deposit for Olivia's wedding venue. $12,000, first installment. I'd told myself it was a gift, that it was what families did. Now I saw it for what it was. The first tile in a path they'd built for me, one that led to $18,000 honeymoons and a lifetime of funding their choices. My thumb hovered over the venue contact number. A deep breath creaked out of me. Then I dialed. A woman answered on the second ring. Professional, polite. Bainbridge Estate Events, this is Jennifer. Hi, I said, keeping my voice steady. I need to cancel a deposit. 20 minutes later, it was done. The venue had a strict cancellation policy. I lost $2,000 of the deposit, but I got back $10,000. More importantly, I got back control. I sat on my couch staring at the confirmation email. Cancellation processed. Refund issued within 5 to 7 business days. My phone started ringing immediately. Mom first. I let it go to voicemail. Then Olivia. Voicemail. Then Marcus. Dad. Olivia again. Mom again. I turned my phone face down and walked to the kitchen, made myself tea, sat at my small table, and looked out the window at the Seattle skyline. It was raining harder now. The city looked clean, washed. My phone buzzed with a text, then another, then a barrage. I picked it up, read them. Mom. Maya, the venue just called. They said you canceled. Please tell me this is a mistake. Olivia. What did you do? Marcus. You're actually insane. Dad. Call your mother now. You just ruined my entire wedding. How could you do this to your sister? I stared at the messages, read them twice, felt nothing. Then I typed one response, sent it to the group chat they'd clearly created without me. I told you not to expect another dollar. You didn't believe me. I blocked the group chat. Then I blocked each of them individually. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was clean. The next few days blurred into a routine. Work, gym, home. I threw myself into a new project at the firm, a commercial development downtown that required long hours and detailed focus. Anything to keep my mind from drifting. My coworkers noticed I looked different, lighter maybe, but no one asked questions. I was grateful for that. On Thursday, a letter arrived at my apartment, hand-delivered, cream-colored envelope, my mother's perfect cursive on the front. I held it for a long moment. Then I opened it. Maya, what you did was unforgivable. Olivia has been devastated. The wedding is in 6 weeks, and now we have no venue. She spent days crying. Your father and I are deeply disappointed in your selfishness. We raised you better than this. Family is supposed to support each other, not tear each other down out of spite. If you don't fix this immediately, there will be permanent consequences. You can't just walk away from your responsibilities. Mom, I read it twice. Then I walked to my shredder, fed the letter through, watched it turn to strips. Responsibilities. The word sat heavy in my mind, as if my responsibility was to fund everyone else's dreams while mine stayed deferred, delayed, dismissed. I pulled out my laptop, opened my financial records, started calculating. In the last 5 years, I'd given my family $147,000. Student loans, rent, medical bills, car payments, the house down payment, the cabin repairs, emergency after emergency. $147,000. I'd told myself it was love, that it was what families did. But love doesn't demand. Love doesn't take without asking. Love doesn't call you selfish when you finally say no. I saved the spreadsheet, backed it up, then I closed the laptop and went to bed. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. 3 weeks after the brunch, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This is Aunt Karen. Your mom asked me to reach out. Please talk to them. Olivia is heartbroken. I stared at the message. Aunt Karen, my mom's sister, the one who lived 2 states away and only showed up for major holidays? I typed back, this is between me and them. Please don't get involved. 3 dots appeared. Then, they're your family, Maya. Whatever happened can be fixed. Some things can't be fixed. They can only be ended. The dots appeared again, then stopped. No response came. Good. On Friday, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, Seattle area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Is this Maya Hartley? A woman's voice, professional. Yes? This is Jennifer from Bainbridge Estate Events. I wanted to follow up on the cancellation from last month. My stomach dropped. Is there a problem? Not at all, she said quickly. Actually, your sister Olivia called yesterday. She was trying to rebook the venue for the same date. We explained that your deposit was non-transferable and that booking a new event would require a fresh contract. I closed my eyes. Let me guess. She asked you to contact me? She did, Jennifer said carefully. But I wanted to call because she also became quite aggressive with our staff, made threats about legal action, posted a negative review online accusing us of fraud. I'm sorry, I said quietly. My sister is dealing with disappointment. I understand, but I wanted you to know that we've documented everything. If she continues to harass our business, we'll be pursuing legal options. After I hung up, I sat on my couch, staring at nothing. Olivia was unraveling, and instead of accepting responsibility, she was lashing out. Classic. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. This time, I didn't answer. 4 weeks after the brunch, my mom showed up at my apartment. I came home from work to find her sitting in the lobby, arms crossed, lips thin, eyes red. We need to talk, she said. I didn't want to do this here, not in front of the building's security cameras and the concierge who already looked uncomfortable. Fine, I said, but not up there. We walked to a coffee shop 2 blocks away, sat at a table in the back. She ordered nothing. I got an Americano just to have something to hold. "You've destroyed your sister's wedding," Mom said without preamble. "No," I replied. "I declined to pay for her wedding." "Same thing." "It's not." Mom's hands shook as she set them on the table. "The venue is gone. Olivia is scrambling to find something new. Everything costs more now because it's last minute. She's having panic attacks." I took a sip of coffee, let the bitterness sit on my tongue. That sounds hard. "That's all you have to say?" "What do you want me to say, Mom?" "I want you to fix this." Her voice rose. The barista glanced over. Mom lowered it. "You have the money. Just transfer the deposit. Book the honeymoon. Help your sister." "Help her," I repeated. "Like I've helped her for 5 years?" "Yes." "And when does it end?" Mom blinked. "What?" "When does it end?" I said again. "I pay for the wedding, then the honeymoon, then what? The house down payment, the car, the kids' college funds? At what point am I allowed to keep my own money?" "When your family doesn't need you anymore." The honesty of it hit like a slap. She realized what she'd said, tried to backtrack. "I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did. Maya, please." "No. You're going to regret this." "I already regret waiting this long." Mom stood abruptly, chair scraping. "You're being incredibly selfish." "Good," I said. "It's about time." She stared at me like I was a stranger. Then she turned and walked out. I finished my coffee alone. Felt nothing. 6 weeks after the brunch, Olivia's wedding happened. I found out through social media. Aunt Karen posted photos. Backyard ceremony, my parents' house, small, intimate, beautiful despite the challenges, the caption read. Olivia looked happy in the photos. Chase stood beside her in a white linen shirt. My parents smiled. Marcus held up a champagne glass. I wasn't in any of the pictures. It was like I'd been erased. I closed the app, went for a run, cleared my head. That night, I got a voicemail from my dad. "Maya, it's Dad. The wedding was today. It was nice, smaller than planned. Olivia wanted me to tell you that she's hurt you weren't there. I'm hurt too. We're your family. I hope you'll reconsider this distance you're creating. Call me." I deleted the voicemail without responding. 2 months after the brunch, I received a certified letter, legal document, from a family law attorney in Bellevue. My hands shook as I opened it. Notice of intent to pursue financial recovery. The letter claimed that over the past 5 years, I had promised financial support to various family members, that my sudden withdrawal of that support had caused financial harm and emotional distress, that Olivia, specifically, had suffered damages related to wedding expenses and reputational harm. They were threatening to sue me for stopping payments I'd voluntarily made. I read the letter 3 times. Then I called my own attorney, a woman I'd worked with on real estate contracts at the firm. She practiced family law on the side. Her name was Rachel. She met me at her office that evening. I showed her the letter. She read it carefully. Then she looked up. "This is garbage," she said flatly. "Can they actually sue me?" "They can file, but they won't win. You made voluntary gifts. There's no written contract, no promissory notes, no legal obligation." "So what do I do?" "Respond through me. Deny everything. Dare them to take it to court. If they do, we'll bury them in discovery. Make them prove every claim." She typed up a response that evening, sent it that night. 3 days later, the attorney on the other side withdrew the notice. No explanation, just gone. Rachel called me. They realized they had no case. This was intimidation, nothing more. What now? Now you go live your life. 6 months after the brunch, my life looked completely different. No more midnight calls, no more emergency requests, no more guilt trips disguised as love. Just silence. Clean. Permanent. I got promoted at work. Senior project manager. Salary increase, corner office with a view of the Sound. I started therapy.
unpacked decades of conditioning that told me my worth was tied to my usefulness. I traveled, Portland, Vancouver, a week in Tokyo that I'd been putting off for years. I dated, met someone who didn't know my family, who only knew me as I was now, not as I'd been. His name was David, architect like me. He asked about my family once. I told him the truth. We're not in touch. He didn't push, just nodded. That must have been hard. Leaving was hard, I said. Leaving gone is easy.
1 year after the brunch, I got a Facebook message from Olivia. I'm pregnant, due in March. Mom thought you'd want to know. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, congratulations. 3 dots appeared. Then, that's it? What else do you want me to say? I want you to care. I want you to be part of this. I can't be part of something that only values me when I'm paying for it. You're still holding on to that? I'm not holding on to anything. I let go a year ago. You're unbelievable. I'm at peace. That's all that matters. She blocked me after that. I felt nothing. 18 months after the brunch, Aunt Karen called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Maya? Hi, Aunt Karen. I wanted to apologize for not understanding before. I didn't respond. Let her continue. Your mom and I had a falling out last month, over money, actually. She asked me to loan her $10,000. When I said no, she cut me off, just like that. And I realized she did the same thing to you. She did. I'm sorry I didn't see it. It's okay. Is it? I'm okay. That's what matters. We talked for 20 minutes. It was the first real conversation I'd had with a family member in over a year. When we hung up, I felt lighter. Maybe not all family was poison. Maybe some were just caught in the same trap I'd escaped. 2 years after the brunch, I stood in my new condo, downtown Seattle. 2 bedrooms, hardwood floors, view of the water. I'd bought it with cash. Savings that used to go to everyone else now went to me. David helped me move in. We painted the bedroom together, hung art, made it ours. On the kitchen counter, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Maya? A tentative voice. Olivia. Hi. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I needed to tell you something. I waited. Chase left 3 months ago. He couldn't handle the responsibility of being a dad. I'm doing this alone. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. Mom and Dad are helping, but it's hard. I'm working now at a bank, entry level. The money isn't great. That sounds difficult. It is. A pause. I get it now, what you were trying to tell us, about boundaries, about not being someone's ATM.
Okay. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted you to know I understand. Thank you for telling me. Can we maybe talk sometime? Not about money, just talk. I looked around my condo, at the life I'd built, at David unpacking boxes in the other room, at the peace I'd fought so hard for. Maybe, I said, but not right now. Okay, her voice was small. I'll wait. We hung up. I didn't know if I'd ever call her back. Maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, but it was my choice now. And that was everything. 3 years after the brunch, I was engaged. David proposed on a hiking trail outside the city. Simple ring, perfect moment. We planned a small wedding, courthouse ceremony, dinner with close friends. No family drama, no registries, no expectations. Just us. The night before the wedding, I sat on our balcony looking at the lights of Seattle. David came out, wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. You okay? He asked. Yeah, I said. I'm perfect. Thinking about them? A little. Do you regret it? Cutting them off? I thought about it. Really thought. No, I said finally. I regret how long it took, but I don't regret the choice. He kissed the top of my head. Good. We sat in silence. The city hummed below us. I used to believe walking away from family meant failure. Now I know it can mean survival. I didn't lose a home, I left a battlefield. And in the quiet that followed, I rebuilt myself with steadier hands, clearer boundaries, and a life that finally feels like mine. If you've ever carried everyone else's weight until you couldn't breathe, hear me. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's the beginning of freedom.